Hello everyone, I'm Keen947, aka Wolfkeen, and welcome to the Wolf Podcast, where we'll be talking about the 24th episode of Persona 5 The Animation, a challenge that must be won. With me today is...
Hi everyone, I am Akechi.
What?
Wait,
what?
Hold on. What? Sorry, I just read something.
Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, our guest star, Akechi.
I'm Akechi, I'm the Detective Prince.
My name is Akechi. I'm the detective sent by the police. Oh my god.
I am DMikami, this is DMPone 3000.
Hey everyone, this is FlOrangey.
Hey everyone, this is Mario Fanboy 15, aka that guy that only has one thing to say this anime. Congratulations! You didn't fuck up Sojiro for once!
No, and in fact, they handled Sojiro's character in such a different way that, holy shit, it's going to be interesting to talk about in the differences and comparisons. Like, literally. But I'm not going to go further into that. Before we get things started, any comparisons that we make to the game or animation are purely done for analytical reasons. And to give a quick synopsis of the episode, we do begin with Sai's palace, but then it leads to the situation of Sojiro actually finding the calling card in Futaba's room, to the point that he tries to, well, ask, quote unquote, Futaba what that was about, but it leads to her basically shutting down in front of him. And it also leads to the situation of starting Futaba's confidant, where her uncle is basically trying to...
Don't you mean Sojiro's confidant?
Sojiro, yeah, you're right, Sojiro. I'm an idiot. Sojiro's confidant.
Yeah, this was also Jiro's.
Yeah, I'm an idiot. Sojiro's confidant, where the uncle was trying to extort Sojiro for money, and it's like, oh, I'm her blood relative. If you're not going to give me money, then I'm going to take her back and shit. The way, yikes, it's like, yeah. The way the anime handles this story compared to the game is something we're going to go very deep into in the comparisons and differences, but...
It actually reminds me of episode 13.
Yeah, but let's just say this right now. This episode got heavy. Very heavy. But it had so many good moments behind it. But with that said, Dean, give your general thoughts about the episode.
Alright, so, in terms of my general thoughts, the times that I did watch this episode was at midnight of today and 10 minutes ago. So, but the episode did leave a positive impression on me because I was invested for how they were going to handle like both Akechi as well as the start of Sai's Palace, and oddly enough, the episode did throw me a curveball when they actually introduced Sojiro's confidant was actually going to be involved, and oddly enough, Akechi was involved in that one too, which actually made a lot of sense considering that they were actually able to dig into the uncle's criminal record about that.
Yeah, because we don't even get the uncle's name in the episode.
Yeah, we just call him the uncle. Didn't they establish? Yeah, that's odd. It's just we didn't establish a name, and yet it's implied that they changed his heart. I think. Like, wasn't it? He said that he took. Basically rescinded the court order on Ren, didn't he? Wasn't that like a result?
He stopped chasing after Futaba, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't that a result of changing his heart?
I don't know.
Yeah, in the game. In the game it was. I think in the anime, it almost seemed to imply that Akechi did it himself.
Either he did it himself, or he did it through the research that he gathered, which was... him finding like the uncle's gambling habits, and even if he did report him, what happened the very next day was that, you know, basically Child Protective Services, like, you know, basically investigating this situation about what's going on with Futaba, and of course the delinquent staying with Sojiro, who has a criminal record.
Yeah, and fun fact, if you actually look back into the confidant rank where those two folks from Child Services actually show up, they're actually their likeness is pretty exact. It's the exact same people that came to interview Sojiro and Ren.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of the thing, though. That's a massive difference that we're talking about, honestly, about how it was handled in the anime compared to the game.
Yeah, The way they handled Sojiro's confidant, I thought was actually like really creative. The only part that I was honestly like really unsure of was like how they tied that into Sojiro finding out about Ren being part of the Phantom Thieves.
Well, then again, yeah, but then again, Sojiro has always made it clear that he's observant of everything around him. He just doesn't make it obvious.
Yeah, but especially just how he learned about the calling card, because the dude's smart, so he should be able to put two and two together about how this happened. It's just that, I don't know, it's just like when this is like the major turning point, or one major turning point that happens in October, because you now have one of the central figures actually finding out, well, who the Phantom Thieves really are. And I don't know, the way that they delayed for like a couple of days, like, yeah, they found the card and then they both just remained silent on it. I don't know how to feel about that, honestly. That's like the only iffy part I have with the episode.
You're iffy about how it was written like that, from what I understand.
Yeah, it's just the way that it's written as well as how it's paced, because when it happened in the game, they all kept it like within the same place, where this is all the heavy shit happens. And we had to talk Sojiro out this, even though, like, either to get them to understand where they're coming from, or make sure they don't he doesn't go to the police or anything like that. So the way they pace it out here in the episode, I don't know how to feel about that entirely.
Actually, if I can make a defense on that, remember how for the longest time we've always been talking about how Sojiro's character in the anime doesn't really reflect his character that was like in the game? I think that's where it works here. Because here's the thing, Sojiro's character, like, remember, he's always been, like, dismissive and otherwise, but he does show that he's a good guy when he wants to be. But at the same time, he does hold an aggressive side within himself if he feels like, you know, like, he or his family is being pushed to some kind of a point. And him finding out that his daughter may have some kind of association to the Phantom Thieves, you know, Futaba, I guess that was a breaking point for him. And instead of handling it in a calm manner, he just kind of let his emotions go. And we've seen that in the anime when he lashed out at Ren multiple times.
Yeah, and like we're referring to this in the anime perspective, right?
Yes, in the anime perspective. This is what I'm saying, like, this does actually fit anime Sojiro's character. He's known for lashing out against people or not really paying too much attention to smaller details. I mean, look at, like, when he was talking about the Sayuri picture, where he said that was a student of Madarame's, wasn't it?
Right, and it does show that he does pay attention well into the group, even though he may seem distant. That was like one of my favorite lines that came from Sojiro in the game. It's just like, I am still your guardian, even though he doesn't show that he's interactive as much, but he still pays attention.
Exactly.
Oh, go ahead.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I think this works with this Sojiro's character primarily because he is the kind of person that will let his emotions get the better of him depending on the scenario. Which is why, like, when it came to, like, asking Futaba, or at least basically trying to get the information out of Futaba one way or another, it basically led to a sort of, like, you know, he made a bad mistake. And you know he realizes he made a bad mistake because during the other days where Futaba's not talking with him, what can he do? All he can really do is just do what he's been doing before and just trying to get her to open up to him.
Right, and that's pretty much all he can do. And I'm trying to recall just how much that he went into in terms of Wakaba and his relationship, because that went into during the scene in the game where he does find out. I don't know if I can't remember if they actually went into too much detail in the anime.
No, they didn't, and I think that might be saved for later, and I don't want to go further into that because that's spoilers.
Yeah, and I probably should bring this up like when we actually go into comparisons,
well,
in all honesty.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I can see a defense being made on this because, again, Sojiro, at least anime Sojiro, does come off as the kind of character to let his emotions get the better of him, to the point that he'll make a mistake that he regrets. I mean, hell, it actually plays really well into the idea of when the Child Protective Services came in to talk with Sojiro, if he's done anything to help Futaba. What can he say? He just recently went through a bit of a, you know, a situation with her. That was completely caused by him.
He made curry.
I believe that was also an option in the game.
I know, and I believe like Ren was trying to say that to get Sojiro to kind of understand that he's like, that he's done more than he thinks he has.
Yeah, and just trying to prove that he's a good guardian to Futaba.
I just love that Ren said that because it makes it more funny because there's like this long pause after he says it.
Yeah,
it's because how do you continue from that?
He makes Sojiro called him an idiot.
Well, then again, what else can Ren honestly say? I mean, like, he knows Sojiro cares for her. It's just hard. Like, it's hard for him at the moment.
Yeah.
And especially with, like, Futaba's uncle breathing down his neck, that's not making it any easier.
Indeed. Especially just how much of a dick he is. I kind of miss the whole aspect of you going on a solo mission with Futaba to actually change his heart. We can say that because that was part of the original. But then again, I do like the implication that Akechi is the one that did it. That is actually a good implication if he's the one that had an actual good use of his Phantom Thief powers, now that he is one. But going back to my thoughts on the episode proper, I did enjoy the episode. That's like the only part that I was just like a little iffy with, but I do understand where you guys are coming from in terms of that. And in terms of Akechi's role in this one, I'm very surprised on how well he's actually interacting with the group more as well as Ren, especially with establishing his backstory right by the train. That was actually a really nice touch.
Oh, we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I'll give my thoughts on that right before we get into comparisons, because I did bring it up to Cole.
Oh my goodness, I can't wait. But yeah, I like the episode overall, and I think they did plenty good. So yeah, I think we're gonna have a laugh and a half when the a comparison side of things. We already did so. This was our sneak preview of it. So
yeah, and one of the big ones. Well, at least arguing on the differences of Sojiro's character, but we didn't go into full detail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know we're gonna go into fuller detail later.
So Cole, go ahead and give your thoughts on the episode.
Oh goodness gracious! I remember when. Okay, for context, I've only actually seen the episode once because my schedule has been hectic for this weekend, but I remember it so vividly that it's actually kind of amazing. And it's like, I was actually watching it with Zach, and when we got to the part with Akechi, I basically just screamed with the joy.
Oh, joy. Sweet.
Yes. It's, because it's like, I keep saying this over and over, but every single problem I've had with Akechi in the game keeps getting fixed by this anime, and that is the thing that actually drew me into this episode the most. That was basically all the interaction between Akechi and Ren, all of Akechi's involvement in the entire thing. And I have to be honest and say that I like that they used the whole gambling theme with the palace in order to bring in the gambling issue with Futaba's uncle. It's a really good use of that. This was, I think, a pretty good time to wrap up that storyline.
It was. It really was. And I like the idea that because of the current strain going on between Futaba and Sojiro, Futaba couldn't really focus on what she was doing.
Yeah, exactly.
And one of the things that I actually liked about that scene is that instead of it being like, oh, Akechi is really good at his phantom thieving job, with the whole back doors thing in the game, in this one it turned into a character piece where we actually study about Futaba and Sojiro's relationship, and I think that is a wonderful trade-off.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Beyond that, when it comes to my general thoughts, I don't really have a whole lot to say, but yeah, this episode reminds me a little bit of why I liked episode 13 the most a lot as well. I think this one's definitely going to be up there on my favorites. All
right, Zachary, your thoughts?
Well. First thing I'll mention is actually I guess you could say a problem with the episode I have, but basically the bit where Sojo's talking about, first he talks about Wakaba and, Futaba and the curry. And then immediately he talks about the uncle. I don't know if it was just me, but it kind of felt like a big exposition dump.
It did a little, but it kind of needed to happen for Ren to really understand the kind of strain Sojiro is under.
I guess, but it's just I was watching the episode, I was like, wow, this kind of feels a bit exposition-y now.
Hey, do you want them to rush through it?
No.
There are some parts that do feel, I think, a little rushed at the beginning when they first enter the palace, but I feel like that's a bit of a necessary evil, to be honest. Like, this anime in general has always had to pack in a lot of crap in, like, 24 minutes, and honestly, compared to most episodes, I think they did pretty good here.
Yeah, I agree with it. Like, I do agree. It can feel a bit exposition heavy, but it does kind of feel necessary.
Oh, and speaking of that beginning, oh boy, when they were first talking to Sai Shadow, they looked so awkwardly placed there.
Oh, yeah.
You mean how they were all placed? Because I had more issue with Sai herself.
Oh, I think Cole says to me, it looked like they just, what was it, they just pasted her onto that or something?
You realize I'm probably gonna have to do something like that in editing now.
Oh.
I had more issue with Sai's why so serious Joker smile. Creepy. I don't like it.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the casino, Ryuji is doing the perfect impression of an impatient con-goer trying to get to the convention center.
We've all been there.
Oh yeah, dude, I've been there. Dude, I don't even have to be there to go to a convention. I'm always like that at the elevator, like, where's the fucking elevator? And I'm in a 6th floor building. It's like the elevator shouldn't be taking this long to get down to the 1st floor to take me up to the 3rd.
Oh, you think the 6th floor is bad? Try being on floor 20 of the Hyatt.
I can imagine.
Oh wait, actually floor 18, because technically floors 4 and 13 don't exist.
But speaking of the casino, one small detail I did, well, I guess not really detail, but one small thing that I did really like is when Akechi is battling with a shadow. I just love the sound effect that plays, just this big thwomp sound effect. This big flashing, it's like woof. It's really loud and shit. Speaking of Akechi, oh look, he was added to the credits. That's nice.
And not added to the intro yet. Although maybe next episode.
Yeah, because there needs to be more scenes with him as a Phantom Thief and such, so yeah. Yeah,
they haven't shown him as Crow, so...
Yeah, this is the first time we see it, so we'll probably be seeing more of it next episode.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I also like in the episode, I don't know, me and Coach just laughed at this. I like how in the episode Morgana's just say, Futaba's uncle is a miserable son of a bitch.
Well, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
There's just something funny about a cat who's basically telling someone, hey, that guy's a son of a bitch.
I can
you should
imagine.
punch him.
I can imagine Panther doing the same thing to me.
Oh.
It's better than he was a scum, so...
Yeah.
I also, even though it's a small scene, I do like the fact that Ren's friends worry for him, Futaba, because oh no, the manager might find out that they're Phantom Thieves.
Yeah,
I like a little detail.
I do like that because they thought about maybe playing the long game, just like waiting and keeping to themselves because he's not pressing further. But they kind of felt like, but then again, it's kind of like, is that really a good idea? And hell, even Futaba trying to tell them, don't worry about me, that doesn't exactly help. Like, Ryuichi had the right idea to feel more worried on that.
Yeah. And plus it made sense to deal with the thing there and now, since later in the episode, she is not focused while they're in the palace.
Yeah, but then again, the one thing I like is that the rest of the group doesn't get involved in all this because, yeah, in a way, it's not their place. They can worry about what's going on with Futaba, but in terms of trying to help her out and such, that's outside of their capability. Hell, even to a degree, it's outside of Ren's capability because again, to Sojiro, he's only someone who's staying there. He's not exactly seen as, someone close yet.
Yeah. And also speaking of the uncle, I do like the really short scene that plays where you see him get beaten up by people.
Yeah, it kind of gives the idea of where his gambling habits are coming from, and where he needs the money and shit. But I also really love the scene where he gets so pissed off at Akechi exposing his gambling habits that he almost assaults Sojiro.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he falls on his ass.
After Ren jumps in to defend Sojiro, and the guy just falls backwards and then tries to blame Ren for assault.
And then
Again.
And then it feels like then I guess it looks like I guess you could say Ren sort of has a flashback, but not really. I'm just speculating. It's like, oh, I bet Ren must be getting flashbacks to like the first episode or something.
He's probably like, ah, shit, not again.
Yeah, exactly.
Why does this always happen to me?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Zach, is there anything else you want to add? Because we are 20 minutes in now.
Yay!
I was about to say I really don't have anything else to add because I have a lot more to say in the comparisons.
All right, so to give
I believe we all do.
yeah, so to give my thoughts on the episode, I found this episode to be surprising, primarily because like when I saw that they were gonna go the route of like Sojiro finding out about Futaba having association with the Phantom Thieves, I was amazingly surprised with the direction they went. But then again, I should be used to that in some ways. Many of the confidants, they either play it straight but add small details to it, or they go in a variety of different directions. I think this is one of the examples of it going in a completely different direction than what I was expecting, and they made it take its time instead of like handling the situation instantaneously with the Phantom Thief thing. They had it tie in with the uncle situation and hell, even the palace, like Ya said.
See also Yusuke's confidants.
Yeah, exactly, and that I really liked, and I especially liked it. Like this is what I was talking to Cole about. I liked the fact that Akechi was actually on board with helping Ren out on this, even though this goes against what Akechi is about. Remember, even though Akechi is working with the Phantom Thieves, it doesn't mean that he agrees with their methodology still. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing I like is that the reason why he's going along with what Ren wants to do is because Akechi can relate to what's going on to Futaba, which leads to us learning his backstory.
And he's also helping Ren out because he fears they might not get further in the palace if Futaba's in a slump.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, he also feels a personal connection to this situation because of what happened to his mother. And I really like that. That was good. That was a good way to actually have Akechi be involved in this situation. And yeah, like him coming in and literally exposing the uncle, like, because here's the thing, like, I just like the way they have Akechi coming in to expose the uncle, helping Ren out even further. And I do like that this episode expands the friendship between Ren and Akechi even further. Like, hell, that last scene where Ren literally gives Akechi the king, literally saying that the next time you come, I'll beat you.
I wonder if this will come into play later.
Another thing that I kind of like about Akechi kind of getting involved in Futaba's situation, even going so far as to agree to do a change of heart, is that it definitely shows that while he does feel like the Phantom Thieves should be tried in the court of law or whatever, he's not afraid of stepping in on things that he feels very personal about. It makes him feel very human and, if anything, even more like the Phantom Thieves.
Again, as he says, he is the way he is because of sickening adults. And this is a great example of that. Hell, he even reminds Ren that that's the reason he became a detective, because of adults like this. And actually, this does actually transition me into comparisons a little, because
oh boy,
the way that they had Akechi integrated into the episode is completely different compared to the game. In the game,
and can I just say it's so much better as well?
Yeah, in the game, Sojiro already knew about the uncle's gambling habits, which is why he was refusing, and even if he wanted to try Sojiro in a court of law, all Sojiro would have to do is bring up the gambling habits. In the anime, however, the way they handle it is Sojiro is not knowing about this kind of thing, but instead when the uncle is pushing Sojiro to wall, basically, literally to the point that the uncle has the upper hand on Sojiro, Akechi comes in literally talking about the gambling habits, which, you know, knocks the uncle down a peg. It's like, now what's he gonna do? They have proof of the uncle being an inadequate parent from the detective prince himself.
And oh my gosh, Akechi actually doing his job? Gasp.
Look, gasp.
Well, he's been doing it the entire anime, which is, you know, this situation just being another example of the detective prince strikes again.
And we're still shocked
we know
on
that.
that.
It's just that it's also it's more of a joke compared to how we don't see him do anything in the game.
Yeah, I don't know what's the most detective work that he's done in the game, except maybe
Show up on
arrest
television.
Yeah, television.
Yeah, exactly.
That's about it. He's been called the Detective Prince, but I have not seen anything that compares to the Great Naoto. So
whereas in the animation, they are playing to that name and they are playing to it perfectly. Like, I can see Akechi being a far better detective than Naoto, and that's saying a lot.
You take back those words right now.
Yeah, indeed. Let's say, okay, Akechi has been doing good, but he's not doing that good. Not at all.
Dude, he's exposed a supposed embezzling crime that was going on during, like, Yusuke's confidency. He's helped Ren out with exposing someone else's gambling habits. He was able to discover the identity of the Phantom Thieves by connecting the dots of the different actions of the Phantom Thieves and the variously sold items in the underground. He is a far better detective than Naoto is in a lot of ways. I'm not saying Naoto's a bad detective. Like, she also figured out, like, the identity of the investigation group, but the problem is that her methodology was completely idiotic in terms of trying to figure things out.
Well, she's reckless. She was reckless with that one, which she also acknowledges, or at least Kanji does.
Yeah, exactly, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, she made, like, that was a very stupid decision.
Oh, there's one thing with Akechi, but I can't say that right now. So we kind of need to go on the whole debatable side when it goes into, like, who's the better detective prince between Naoto and Akechi. Plus, Akechi's a little bit unfair. He works with fucking Sai. Naoto didn't work with much of anyone.
Yeah, because at the time, because you have to remember, male-dominant society, so this is why Naoto wore the guise of a male.
So isn't that a little bit biased, considering the fact that Akechi has more likely of an attack to be a detective, other than Naoto, who has to do things from the shadows, basically?
Not really, because Naoto, again, a lot of people thought that he was a boy, so he would have been treated the same as Akechi. It was
Incorrect, actually. One of the other things that Naoto had going against her was also her age. For some reason, Akechi is not heavily affected. Huh? What?
Yeah, and Naoto is like, what, 16, and Akechi's like 18 or something?
Yeah, he would be a third year in high school.
So he's much closer to actually, like, becoming a full detective, a lot better than Naoto. While Naoto is still in high school, so
true,
and also younger than even the main character.
But then again, they deemed it necessary to send Naoto into a, like, you know, basically an out of nowhere town to investigate a serial killer murder.
Can we have this debate after the anime is over?
Oh, no. I'm not continuing the debate. I'm just saying that there's so many different circumstances. It's just like, I can see Akechi honestly being a better detective than Naoto, but that's really depending on who you are.
Didn't you just say that you thought Akechi was a better detective than Naoto, though?
I did, and I do hold by that statement, honestly. But I say it in terms of... Let me just finish. But I say it in terms of the anime. In terms of the game, fuck no. Fuck no.
Well, we agreed there, at least.
Get me like, fuck no. I'm sorry, but...
Dude, he was a fucking poser in the game.
Yeah, exactly. He was a poser in the game. Like, it's like, they make him out to be like this next coming of a detective, but he doesn't do anything in the game, which is why yes, I make the statement Akechi's a better detective than Naoto, but I'm talking in terms of anime. If I was to talk...
For anyone who was only watching the anime and might be thinking, well, maybe in the game he was doing detective work off screen, there is a bit of a spoiler that we need to get into later regarding that. Probably in about 10 episodes.
Yeah, exactly. So we will talk about that when we reach that point. Trust us. But that's what I'm saying. Anime Akechi, I feel like, is a really damn good detective, and it shows, and it continues showing as the series moves on. And you know what? That leads into another comparison. We learn about Akechi's backstory here in a more natural manner than we did in the game.
Thank you,
oh
Jesus.
my god, it is absolutely perfect. Because in the game, it's like, hey, let's pour you some coffee. How you doing? My mom abandoned me as a child. Oh.
Oh, we're going there, aren't we?
Yeah, whereas here, he's whereas here, Ren, it's like, are you sure you want to do this? It's like, he's like, yeah, I'm sure. I do want to stop sickening adults, and plus, this reminds me of what happened with my mother.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't come out of nowhere.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It feels so much more natural in the anime that I want to punch whoever wrote the script for the game and tell them, this is how you make your foil character. Because I'm always going to stand by this. It always felt to me that Akechi being the rival in the game was fucking tacked on to hell.
Exactly.
Oh, they wanted to go with the whole black and white dichotomy.
It feels tacked on to hell, and I fucking hate it.
And they do, and hell, it's still that case. Akechi wears white, Ren wears black. Akechi fights for a different sense of justice. Like, both Akechi and Ren fight for justice, but Akechi fights more in, on the book kind of idea, whereas Ren fights for a sort of vigilante style of justice. It's like they both have their own different kind of dichotomy to each other, and that's the problem. The game did a horrible job in trying to capitalize on this, where the anime, it really does show the difference between Ren and Akechi, but it also shows the similarities.
It makes me so happy.
It makes us all happy.
Did you guys know at one point in sorry.
Go ahead.
Please do tell.
Go ahead, Cole.
Yeah.
Did you guys know at one point in development Makoto and Akechi were probably going to be siblings?
Oh.
I feel unclean.
You want to know what's the worst part? It would make a certain line that happens way later in the game make a lot more sense. I'll type it later, but that's what I'm trying to say. It's like all the stuff that goes on with Akechi, it feels a lot more natural in this episode, and it feels a lot more like he's opening up to someone that he considers his friend.
Yeah, and they're teammates at this point, so admitting that, well, how his backstory is actually makes a lot of sense here, other than just saying it to basically the equivalent of a Starbucks employee.
Pretty much. And
what would you like for your coffee today? Existentialism.
Hey, my mom got fucked by this loser of a person.
I'm a barista, not a bartender.
Can I also say the one dish I do like in this episode? I do like that we see Sojiro find the calling card thing.
Yeah, he finds it. Well, then again, he does admit that he finds it in Futaba's room when he's cleaning up in there. So that is not a difference, honestly. It's
I know, but just we visually see it this time.
Yeah, the circumstances are different, though.
Yeah.
Afterward.
Yeah, because here's the big difference. Here's the big difference that we were bringing up. In the previous episode, we were talking about how Sojiro didn't find the calling card or whatever. Yeah, because in the game he finds it during the school festival, which is when Futaba and Ren come back home. Sojiro basically confronts both of them about the calling card.
Mm-hmm.
Though the funny thing is, the one thing I'm glad that they removed, which the game said it, is that Futaba apparently still had it as a memento.
And it's just why would you have that as a memento?
Why would you?
Well, it's something that I can actually empathize, considering the fact that it's something that is related to her, basically coming out of her shell. So
True enough.
Yeah, I have to side with Dean on that one.
True
Yeah,
enough. True enough. That's what I'm saying. Like, I do like the direction they went, where it was more Sojiro found out while they were at the cafe and basically just confronted her right there and then. Like, he didn't have any, like, it made it almost like he didn't really see Ren as a part of this. But that came out later, which is another big difference. Sojiro pretty much knew that Futaba and Ren were Phantom Thieves.
But he doesn't know yet that Ren is the leader of the Phantom Thieves. Yet.
Yeah, but that happened in... I don't think that it was ever addressed in the game either.
No, it was. It was.
No way, it was.
It was.
It was?
Because here's the thing.
When you give the option to say, I am a Phantom Thief, I think it actually is brought up that he is the leader.
Yeah, exactly. Oh. Because here's the thing. Sojiro at first thinks that you only got in contact with the Phantom Thieves to help Futaba. He doesn't make anything of you or Futaba being a Phantom Thief, but it's when Futaba accidentally slips and says, I'm the one that asked him to steal my heart, and he's like, wait, what?
Mm-hmm. And, yeah, that was all in the game, I believe.
Yeah, right? that was in the game.
Yeah, it was.
This is the game stuff.
Yeah, exactly, but that's what I'm saying, so it makes it clear, like, wait a minute, and then he relates it like, so he's a Phantom Thief.
Mm-hmm.
Get me, like, at first Sojiro thought that, well, Ren got Futaba, like, got in contact with the Phantom Thieves again to help her. Like, he's associated with them, but he's not a part of them. But as soon as Futaba said that, it gave Sojiro the confirmation that Ren is a Phantom Thief.
Yep.
And whereas here, it makes it out like Sojiro knows they're both Phantom Thieves, primarily because of how circumstantial everything was.
Like, yeah, he inferred it, especially, like, noting from who Ren had a relationship with, in terms of, like, first you got Yusuke that came in, and then Makoto, and then Haru, so he was able to infer on, well, maybe this kid actually has some kind of connection with them.
Go
ahead.
Oh, it also doesn't help. The searcher's like, are you Phantom Thieves? They're both just kind of like, it's just like, that means yes, right?
Exactly, and he says, you two are terrible liars.
Yeah.
That might actually, now that I think about it, that might actually be why they delayed him talking to the people, to the others for so long, talking to Futaba and Ren again about it for so long. It's that it could be that because Futaba's reaction was so negative, he figured he needed to let it stew for a little while and calm down.
Yeah, exactly. But then again, everything that was going on with his uncle and then the protective services coming in, it felt like everything was falling apart in front of him.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I do feel really bad for Sojiro at times, and in this one in the anime, I did feel kind of bad for him, even though it took me a while to get to the point of being able to feel bad
and
for
also,
him, because let's face it, anime Sojiro hasn't exactly been the best track record ever.
And also, if I could say this real quick, the one thing that I find interesting is that they relate the idea of basically Ren helping Futaba out as a reason for Sojiro to not think negatively of the Phantom Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he literally says that he does owe him a lot. Because if it wasn't for the Phantom Thieves, Futaba may have never came out of her shell.
Yep. And speaking of, like, the Child Protective Services, I can't remember if this was in the game, but I'm going to assume the folder that one guy was holding was Ren's criminal track record.
No. Actually, I think that might have been the gambling record Akechi found.
Oh.
That might have been the case. That might have been the case. Actually, I think I get it. If it's implied that Akechi actually did change the uncle's heart, he might have planted.
Oh.
Yeah, because remember when Akechi came in, he was holding the uncle's criminal record in the exact same envelope.
Exactly. So
he was there when the uncle pressed the assault charge. He probably found the Child Protective Services people who were going to visit and gave them the information.
Yeah.
Or at least the more experienced one, as opposed to the woman who's implied to have just started a business.
Exactly,
yeah, apparently it was rude.
Exactly, but they didn't want to go to that route until they fully understood the situation, which, led to...
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's why they never popped that. Like, if you notice, they never popped that information because it was unnecessary. from looking at Futaba and Ren, they don't feel threatened and they don't feel unsafe with Sojiro. So it's like, why bring it up? It's obvious that he's doing a good job.
Yeah, exactly. But I did think that but I do feel like there was a reason that we were shown that envelope, not really from like the perspective of the characters, but from us, the viewer, that it would give us the idea that, oh, part of this went the way it did because Akechi was involved.
Yeah, he once again intervened to, well, not only help his friends out, but to also like help the group.
I fucking hate how this anime makes me like Akechi.
Hey, believe me, I'm still trying to get over it.
Again, just more points to be saying that I think Akechi's a better detective.
I relate so much. He's a better character.
Anime Akechi is a better detective.
Yeah,
Game
I know.
Akechi can go fuck off.
I get it.
He's doing shit.
I get it. Yatu want to kill me later.
Yeah, Rip Nelson.
I'm just like painting the largest target on my head right now.
Oh, Nelson, you've been doing that for a while now. All right, there is one other big difference I do want to bring up. And you know what I'm talking about, the post-credits scene.
Yeah, this is actually the first time they brought up this thing. Here's the thing. Back in episode 1, we brought up the whole idea that during the heist, during which we now know as Sai's Palace, in the game it was brought up that Ren was sold out. But in the anime, it was never brought up once until now.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to be honest, I'm completely okay with.
Yeah.
I'm actually down with it too.
All the way back in episode 1.
Yeah, all the way back in episode 1.
Yeah, that was the thing he complained about all the way back in the first podcast.
Yeah, we complained about that a lot, considering that was like one of the big things that came up from that first episode.
I also like the fact that when Sai says in this episode, you see Ren have this huge shocking face on him.
Which is fair. It's like he wasn't told anything. He was just captured out of nowhere, and now he's being told by, someone who's listening to his story and trying to get to the bottom of things that he was sold out by someone. Yeah.
I like this. I like this change.
Yeah.
Yeah, the change was actually like very welcomed because all throughout this series we did not have like that pretense on, or at least anyone who's a casual watcher didn't have the pretense that someone might have been the traitor. So we've been getting to know like a lot of these characters like pretty naturally, and even like some characters that we didn't get as much development in the game actually gets development now, and actually has some good relations with Ren. So as soon as they brought up the aspect of a traitor, and all that starts to come to question.
Yeah, come to think of it, thinking about it from a casual perspective, because of the way that the anime is structured, how certain characters interact with each other, this is actually going to be a big curveball, and it is actually well placed.
Exactly, and the worst part about it does make this tricky to figure out who could it be, because as the anime has done, which I have said the game has kind of failed on in so many different ways, everyone has an amazing connection with Ren and is a very close friend of his. So it actually makes this kind of idea so much harder because, again, in the game it made it like they weren't even friends, but in the anime, all these guys are clearly friends. Every single one of them.
Yeah, everyone is friends, and Ren has some association with them, and also everyone technically has something to gain. So...
Yeah.
That's kind of what I like about this change, because it's just like, it's not something that you would actually consider until now.
Actually, I guess the only thing I consider this as a joke. I guess the only thing is it makes most of our complaining on the first episode kind of mute.
It also makes us sound hilariously petty in hindsight, but I don't care.
I don't care. I don't care either. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, Zach. We brought up what we brought up because we were giving our initial impressions and otherwise on the animation and stuff that was brought up. That's the whole idea of comparison and differences. That's the whole reason I've always had this every podcast. And now that this has been brought up at episode 24, it doesn't make what we said in episode 1 any less wrong, because this is a different kind of context.
It's just that we now have more perspective.
Yeah, and this is a different kind of context of it being brought up. See, in the game when it was brought up, it brought this idea that you really couldn't trust anyone. Whereas in the anime, it makes it like it establishes these characters, their relations with Ren, and hell, you're gonna have your favorites and like not so great characters. And now that you've hit this point, being told that someone sold him out, now you're just kind of like,
oh shit.
Yeah, and I think Ren makes the most appropriate face and reaction to most people. As soon as you hear that bombshell.
Yeah, because
he's still drugged, so he's probably like, "What? No way."
You know, I can totally see that face he makes. I can totally see that being used as like a meme picture.
I could as well, but that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it doesn't invalidate what we said episode 1, mostly because we didn't know at the time.
Anime.
Live reactions are fun.
I guess you could say our cognition has changed.
I guess you could say the Phantom Thieves have changed our hearts.
Stop it. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't have cases like MILF and butts.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, you're right. Oh, speaking of which, more knocks to the and butt counter from the intro.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. One other comparison I noticed is that they actually did not attempt to rig the system in the palace. They actually focused it heavily on Futaba's character growth.
Oh yeah, I brought this up earlier, and the thing is, for those who are unaware, in the game, in order to actually make it so they win the amount of money that they need, Akechi grows a plan that maybe they should rig the system, so it would just automatically just pull out 18. But in the anime, it was all up to Futaba to figure out like which numbers it's going to be in order to actually get the payout that they want.
And also,
which makes it flow which makes it flow good.
And also, if I could be that guy for a moment, they were doing that gambling in the first place to get a membership card. In the game, they were doing it to get a card to get to the high stakes area.
Oh, right. The membership card is like to the highest area of the casino, right?
No, the membership card is to get to the low stake area.
Oh.
So that means so that means that they didn't even have the membership cards yet, but they were still allowed to freely gamble in the casino to earn a membership card.
So they were just like still in the first...
They might have done that simply because, like with every other palace we've had, they're probably just going to streamline it a little bit more. But I get the feeling we're probably going to have maybe at least 1 or 2 more episodes with this palace.
I would say 1 more maybe, but it depends.
We might see the haunted house thing, or not, the dark area thing, or the arena fight, but that's a maybe.
I say no.
I think they're gonna cut the arena fight.
I'm gonna say no on both of them because they're irrelevant.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
There is one thing I do want them to do, and that's the well, actually, I really can't say it, but there's basically a moment where they have to go back to the real world for similar reasons like Madarame, so...
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I think they might
They should play Russian roulette.
Stop!
No,
Stop!
We're
We are not having a Persona 3 incident on our hands.
Yeah, only one guy has the right to that gun.
Oh my god.
And knowing the anime, it'd probably be Akechi with his gun.
Will you he's using a laser pistol! And I could say that because here's the thing, now that we know what the group looks like and what they're using, you can infer who is who in the first episode.
And Akechi uses a laser pistol.
And not for nothing, Akechi does have some pretty cool weaponry on him.
Yeah, a lightsaber and a fucking laser pistol.
That's taking
That's his
full
voice.
advantage of cognition.
But anyways, is there any more comparisons that we want to bring up?
Surprisingly, I don't think so.
I
Well,
think we covered everything.
Yeah, we covered a lot of the big stuff already and otherwise, so yeah, I think we've done everything we can, so...
Well, I guess one thing I should say, I like the small detail where Morgana goes to get Futaba.
Well, yeah, I like that as well, because he knew this situation was getting bad.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that would have made this better is if Futaba gave Sojiro a hug.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And again...
Oh,
I like the church scene, honestly.
Oh, Cole, he was already crying enough as is.
We're probably gonna...
Make him cry more, but make him tears of happiness.
We may
Sojiro deserves tears of happiness.
We may still get that... We still may get that church scene, Dean. You never know.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
might.
Yeah, come to think of it, technically all of the... Oh, I just realized something. Unless I am mistaken, and I might be at least with Ryuji, all the social confidants so far have stopped at rank 9, not rank 10.
Yeah, 8 to 9-ish, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or part of rank 10. It's like, I think with... No,
yeah,
Arn
Makoto's
stopped at
technically
9.
rank 10.
Yeah. Wasn't Yusuke's technically rank 10?
Makoto's
Yeah,
rank
Yusuke
10.
ended at rank 10.
Yeah, Makoto...
Yusuke's rank 10.
Yeah, Makoto, Yusuke, Ryuji... But many of the other ones, they've stopped at a certain point. Also, we haven't continued with ties in forever.
Yeah, Tais has been on pause for a while, so is Kawakami.
And not to mention, we got to meet the politician at Shibuya. So
Not to mention
Goddamn time.
not to mention they also still need to do Hifumi's and Shinya's.
and
Hifumi's we kind of started. We started on nearly throughout the series, because first with the beach trip, and officially starting a bit recently, considering that Ren finally had a chance to talk with her.
and not to mention, we have done Ons as well. So there's and we have Mishima, but I don't think Mishima's done either. So that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of these confidants were at the point that they could be finished, but I think they're saving that for a reason.
Yeah, well, I think we say Ties is still at a much lower rank.
Well, I think that's because of the context of her story. I mean, the reason she's asking Ren for clinical trials is because she's trying to perfect a drug, and I can imagine that takes a while.
Yeah.
So
Why do I
does
have
running
this?
an election.
Well, yeah. With Yoshida.
I will say this. I actually, I says to Cole, I actually won't mind if they do kind of skip Futaba's confidants, since we already got we already got the main storyline thing with her and all other stuff.
Well, you never know. They may bring it up. They still may touch on it. We'll just have.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't mind if they do skip hers.
But anyways, we've been spending a while on comparisons and differences. You want to know how many? You want to know how much we're in this?
Oh no.
About 55 minutes.
Bingo.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So now we need to.
I've been watching the clock.
But anyways, let's get into the final part, which is this a good episode for casual watchers and fans? Dean, take us off.
Okay, I think casual watchers is a definite yes from them, because this is actually quite a turning point, especially the ending credits, the post-credit scene, as well as getting some more tie-ins with Sojiro and basically introducing Akechi to the group. I think that it's a nice setup for that, and you also get more character out of Sojiro and Futaba's relationship, so all those are a plus. As for the game, I do like it in the perspective that I had. I had a lot of questions in terms of just how the decisions that were made in terms of trying to tie it all together, because I still stand by. I think that the way they handled it was a little iffy. I'm a little softened up on it because you guys brought up some fairly good points with that. I do think that they do handle the drama rather well, especially with how Akechi's role in all this. And if you're a hardcore Akechi fan, I know you people are gonna like this stuff.
Are hardcore Akechi fans?
Oh,
wouldn't be-
believe me.
There are
I
a
wouldn't
lot
be
of them.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Do not be surprised on that. There's some hardcore Akechi defenders out there.
Yeah.
Pancakes.
I can't go into it regarding this because we haven't gotten to that point yet.
And I'm gonna stay quiet as well because what I want to say might piss someone off. So I'm gonna bite my tongue.
Don't worry.
Some people on this.
Don't worry, Nelson. You can tell us off the air.
Yeah, I'll do that. So yeah, I can understand why I'm keeping it to myself. But anyways, Dean, is there continue what you were saying?
So from that, I can say it's a definite maybe on if you would like this stuff. If you like Sojiro and Futaba's story, I'm pretty sure you'll like this, and maybe like the way they handled it in this one. They do tie it into the story pretty well, honestly. Yeah, I'd say it's a higher debatable. Honestly, it's more likely that fans of the game will tune into this one. At least better than the other episodes, I feel.
Especially the past two.
Yeah.
Yeah, like didn't we say on the last two or so that they were more like passes or something?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was on Nelson's side mostly, but I think we all collectively agreed that it's like either hit or miss, or pass or maybe watch, which is kind of understandable given the fact that a lot of them were plot retreads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much. Didn't really add too much, and honestly, I could see, like, I said it before, I could see which episode was it? I pretty much said one episode casual and actual fans could skip it.
That was
Yeah,
last
I
week.
think it was the last one.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, but I think for this one, there was enough changes to them that they actually did make it flow a bit better, as well as, like, actually tying it into the story pretty well. So, folks might enjoy it for both.
Alright then, Cole?
Casual fans, this is definitely a yes. With everything from Sojiro, the casino, and pretty much everything with Akechi. It's just for me, in my opinion, especially in regards to Persona 5's very shaky quality, this is definitely a very good episode, definitely worth a watch. For fans, it's kind of my same thoughts with episode 13. Most of the stuff, I'll say this when it comes to Sojiro, most people are going to be happy with it. Especially because, like, Sojiro's confidant was always the one that actually caught everybody by surprise, especially if they played Persona 4 and hated the last parental guardian. Confidant.
Oh, don't even get me started on that.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I actually didn't finish it.
Then again, Sojiro in general, even just from the game, was all kind of pretty much blindsided everyone with how well written he was.
This is why we
everybody thought that he was just going to be like the kind of guardian that didn't really care and otherwise, but when you really delved into his character, well, he does relate himself to, like, the main character due to his previous actions, and two, he does see something in him. It's just up to him if he wants to, like, explore it, basically.
Yeah, and honestly, this is always why I absolutely loved Persona's confidant system, because a character like Sojiro in any other kind of JRPG or even a Western RPG would get, like, probably the most minimal development, like the warm up to you over time thing, but it would probably come with with far littler provocation, or even not even happen at all. Whereas with the confidants, we are forced to, if we choose to, really experience these characters from the inside out. And I've always loved the Persona games for that, even if they don't always do a good job at it.
Mm-hmm. And you can actually see that whole thing with Sojiro, because if you compare Sojiro Endgame to Sojiro Beginning, there is a noticeable difference.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's to the point where replaying through it, starting New Game Plus again, was very awkward.
Yeah, because
you're a good person. You're a good person.
Yeah, you go from a character that's like, make one mistake and I'll throw your ass on the streets, to a guy that basically says, I won't throw you out just because you're a phantom thief.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's also probably why we were so cold to anime Sojiro until he started showing some of those better traits. I think for the anime, they did kind of what they could, though they could have done better, but I'm going completely off topic. I think fans for this episode, they're going to probably be pleased with us getting more Sojiro, because this is really what we needed. We needed more Sojiro. We needed so much more Sojiro. Like, oh my god, seriously, like, unbelievable. And I do like all the little extras, like Sojiro leaving the curry for Futaba near her room and all of that. It's like, you can tell he's trying so hard, but he has no idea what the hell he's doing. He's like that person who could benefit from a parenting class.
It's like it's like Futaba like appreciates everything Sojiro's doing, but then again, it's it's kind of hard for Sojiro to really see that at times. But again, it's not going to stop him from trying.
Yeah, exactly. And it actually just makes everything so much worse when Futaba's uncle comes in about wanting to take Futaba back and making the comment about being a blood relative that he would probably win in court and all that. And had Akechi not brought anything together, and oddly enough, even if he did find all the evidence together, he is very right, because, like, Japan is so fucked up when it comes to some of its parental things. Like, there are children in orphanages who can't be adopted because their biological parents will not give them permission to do so, which makes the fact that even Akechi got into foster home shocking.
He got lucky. How about that?
But then again, he said it himself that he ended up going from foster home to foster home.
Yeah, so probably they didn't take him in.
Exactly.
It kind of makes the idea that he probably never did get adopted and just led his own life.
Poor kid. Nah, damn it! I have sympathy for him.
I mean, he's made something out of his life now. Fucking look at him, the next coming of the detective prince, and works side by side with the police.
I just realized something, that this episode does an incredible job of foiling both Futaba and Akechi's situations right underneath the same parental umbrella. And I just had this revelation, and I wish I had it sooner, because this is incredible, because it's actually really cool how they've kind of pieced this episode together. And this is a perfect episode, not just for Futaba, but also for Akechi, to show how these major changes in their lives just impacted them so negatively, or in the end so positively.
And you know what? It actually works, because in a way, Akechi reminds me of the kind of person I am, preventing people from falling into the same situation I ended up in. And that's what he's doing with Futaba. Like, yeah, if everything was to go on the way it was to go on, Futaba would probably end up back with her uncle and would be in a far worse off situation for God knows how long. Like seriously, like she could end up in a far worse situation, and yeah, we don't know what that would entail. Like that's
which is why that Akechi goes out of his way to do this, even if it is against his want to help, even if it is against what his perceived moral compass, because he's been in that place and he does not want anyone, especially for poor Futaba, to end up there again.
Oh man!
What does this anime have done to us? We're supporting Akechi in this way, shape, or form.
What's wrong with us?
I know. I think something happened in between.
Well, yeah.
I am really curious on what they're gonna do with Akechi in the future.
Yeah, and it's like, I can already see someone in the comments being like, but guys, they did this in the game, but it's like, it's all about the goddamn execution, and in the execution, the game is garbage, whereas in the anime, the game does a very good job at it, and I can't believe I just said that.
No, I agree with you. Execution is everything. You can have the greatest concept in the world, but if you don't execute it properly, that concept is just going to be a concept.
Exactly.
Believe me, I've seen plenty of people like go and defend Akechi, like saying that he's like one of the most idealistic and best characters in Persona 5, and I'm just like sitting in my chair thinking, this execution sucks. Come on. You can analyze this shit all you want, But if the game doesn't actually like execute it very well, then a lot of it's just going to either fall on deaf ears or we're just plain not going to believe it.
Especially if it's not handled naturally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like, I'm
Do you like
grateful.
coffee? My mom was a whore.
Exactly. Yeah.
Son of a bitch! I'm actually looking forward to next week's episode now, which probably means the episode isn't going to be good because whenever I look forward to a new episode, that's when the episode usually sucks.
Well, maybe this will be. Maybe
God,
this.
I hope you're wrong.
Maybe this will be
I
the
hope
one.
I'm wrong as well.
Yeah, maybe this will be the one time you're wrong. But anyways, Cole, is that all you wanted to say?
Okay, I did talk about fans when it came to liking Sojiro, but as with everything regarding Akechi, your mileage will vary. But I think the people who have wanted more from Akechi, regardless of whether they liked him or disliked him in the game, they're definitely going to find it here. So I actually think this episode is definitely a watch. You should at least watch this.
All right, so Zachary.
Whew. Well, I know you guys brought up Sojiro earlier. You know, like Game Sojiro. You know, just like from the beginning of the game to the end of the game, I'm just kind of like, and this is what we call character development.
Yeah, I know, but then again, I guess that's because the anime was handling a different sort of Sojiro. And I do like that, even though he came off as a bit dismissive and otherwise, he is paying attention to things, and he's not like, he's not that above the idea of being friendly.
Oh god, you say dismissive, and the first thing that comes to my mind is me being irritated at episode 8.
Yeah, I was.
Oh,
I won't deny it. I was the same way, but I do like that as the anime went on, Sojiro did start to open up a little more. I mean, hell, even Ren helping Sojiro consistently in LeBlanc.
Yes, LeBlanc.
Yeah, because that's how it's pronounced. The C is silent.
Ah, oh, I just always called it LeBlanc.
yeah. The C silent in that. So.
In fact, even Haru pronounces it that way, and because I didn't finish her Confidant the first time around, I was like, what? Oh, wait, right, French.
Yeah.
Well,
I studied Spanish when I was in high school, so basically I'm more used to when I look at like a ambiguously non-English but obviously European language, the first thing I think is pronounce every letter.
Also, when it came to the uncle getting beaten up, Cole actually says to me, she has a theory that might be the Yakuza.
It may very well be, and I could see that being related to another confidant. Don't want to get into it because that's spoilers for it.
I know what you're talking about, and I hope you're right.
Yeah.
It could, and you know what? That could be another story related in some kind of way. I don't know. We'll have to see. But
we won't say who, but the anime doesn't delve into that confidant. We'll definitely talk about it when the series is done.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely talk about that kind of stuff. Anyway, Zachary.
Casual watchers. Yeah, pretty much the same thing as Cole and Dean said. That I think they'll they'll really like it. Like how Sojiro is handled, as well as Akechi, and pretty much everyone else. And the post credit scene and things like that. As for fans, yes. I say watch, especially if you actually like Akechi, or as Cole said, if you wanted more from Akechi, and overall, I think you'll like the big changes in general. So this is definitely a watch for them as well.
Okay, so to give my thoughts real quick, what was the other episode what was the other episode where it had Akechi like exploring further with Yusuke's confidant?
Episode 13.
All right, thank you. This dethrones episode 13 as my favorite episode of the anime.
Ooh.
This actually dethrones episode 13. Episode 13 was my favorite episode of the anime, not only because of the way they handled Yusuke's confidency, but also the way that they handled Akechi, at least in terms before he knew about Ren being with the Phantom Thieves. It was the first time we got to see this dichotomy between Ren's style of justice and Akechi, and hell, even to the point of Ren working in the same kind of way as Akechi to help Akechi, get to the truth that he's seeking.
Mm-hmm.
Here we see more of this, but now it's Akechi almost repaying the favor to Ren, by helping him in their way instead of Ren helping him in his way. And I find it to be interesting because now it's like they're both even in terms of helping each other out in their methodology instead of their own.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I've just realized something when I was like thinking about the episode. Like, didn't Ren like was watching over the uncle, and then immediately the scene after is when Akechi brought up the paperwork about the uncle's gambling thing?
Yeah.
Wow, right. So they did work together like that on the side too.
Exactly, they did. I mean, like, Ren wanted to make a change of heart, but I'm guessing Akechi also wanted to look deeper into this to, like, you know, really pin the uncle down. If I had to guess anything, like, yeah, the change of heart was going to happen regardless, but they wanted to, first off, pin the uncle down before they did it.
I'm going to assume the change of heart probably happens after he, like, falls on his ass.
Well, I think it happens after the report, because the Child Protective Services come in before the change of heart.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and then immediately after is just when he gets the report.
Yeah, exactly, because in the game, when you change his heart, the Protective Services still come. But
yeah, because he already contacted them before you changed it.
Exactly, so it could be more or less implied that, yeah, again, they came before the change of heart, and after they came in, you want to know what I think happened? After Akechi gave the report to the Child Protective Services, he went to Mementos by himself to change the uncle's heart. Almost like a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking, because even Akira Ren seemed surprised by the news that he stopped pursuing Futaba.
Yeah, so it does give the impression that Akechi actually went along with Ren's plan, and again, this makes them even now, because Ren has helped Akechi out on his terms, and now Akechi has helped Ren out on his own terms as well. In a way, they're even.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of the one thing I like. It goes further into this idea of Ren and Akechi, while they have their own styles of justice, they are willing to work with one another to help the other out. And I'm glad to see this. Like, that's why I really liked episode 13. But seeing it in this episode, especially relating it to Sojiro's confidant, and the way they handled, like, Sojiro finding out about, like, Ren and Futaba being phantom thieves, and hell, even Sojiro, like, being so warm about it too. That's why this is why I would say this is my favorite episode. Casual watchers are going to absolutely love this episode, especially the ending bit, which raises the stakes now. The idea of there being a traitor. Like, you get this great episode, this wholesome episode that is a character study for so many different characters, but then you get a bombshell dropped on you, like, back to reality we go. It just reminds you of the stakes that are there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, and now we have the existence of a traitor, so you know all those bonds that you've had, all these people that you've gotten to know and even got some great character development out of, yeah, one of them betrayed you.
Yeah.
I just like, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly, and that's what's going to make it interesting, because this anime has been doing an absolute phenomenal job in developing these characters in terms of friendship and otherwise.
Even Haru, of all people.
I know, that's what I mean, though. It's really good, and yeah, many of the characters have a reason to maybe betray Ren for a variety of different reasons, but we'll get into that later. But anyways...
Oh yeah, when the traitor is revealed.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously Yusuke. He kind of needs the money after all.
Oh, you're an idiot.
I was going to say Sojiro.
Wow. But anyways...
I totally placed my money on Chihaya. She really wanted to sell Ren that Holy Stone.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, she was bitter against that. I was going to say Hifumi. How about her?
Stop.
Oh,
stop.
We know that the real traitor is Ren himself.
No, the real traitor is the newspaper club girl.
Oh my god, you're right.
Oh man. He's cracked the code.
Yeah, it's funny you should mention that, because I'm replaying the game. Oh man, I totally forgot that the newspaper club girl has more personality than I thought.
Oh my god, but anyways, yeah, I can see casual watchers are going to absolutely adore this episode. I can see many of them agreeing with me on this being up there as one of their favorite episodes. As for fans, yeah, definitely watch this. Because, again, if you're looking for more out of, like, Akechi's character, and hell, just to see how they handle Sojiro's confidant and seeing the relationship between how they handle Sojiro and Futaba, because I said this to Cole, it feels like that with Sojiro's actions, he almost caused Futaba to regress, to go back to the way she once was, purely because of a fear that she was starting to get of her being discovered as a phantom thief.
Mm-hmm.
And Sojiro's
kind of makes Sojiro's fear about not being a fit parent even worse.
Exactly. It makes sense because after he aggressively tried to get at her to learn what was going on, she shut herself away. And you could tell that he regretted the fact that he made this mistake. Even when he was talking with the Child Protective Services, what could he say? He just literally hit a point where he's basically forcing his child to not want to speak with him.
You could always say they made curry.
which is why I'm glad Futaba came in and affirmed the idea that, you know, Sojiro, like, you know, that Futaba does care for Sojiro and doesn't want anything wrong and doesn't want anything to happen to him. She doesn't want to be taken away from him. I like that. That's one of the main reasons I think fans will love this episode, because it handles it pretty much in the same kind of vein, if not better than the game, if you ask me. And this is the thing, we're not even done with it yet. That's the funny part.
Anyway, please don't fuck it up. Please don't fuck up.
Oh, man. But that's what I mean, though. It's like, I feel like fans and casual watchers are going to adore this episode for a variety of different reasons, along with that stinger at the end, which brings us back to reality, reminding us what's at stake. The investigation's going to be happening soon. There's a possible traitor in the midst. And with this situation happening, that's time they wasted in trying to resolve all this. They don't have much time left. And that's
this might end up like the Kanshiro Palace, where it says like, oh, we only have a few days left to finish this.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to think about because it makes sense. It feels this was a massive setback when you really think about it, because this wasn't handled in a day or two. This probably took a little while.
Also, I just want to say this: I would not be surprised if the next episode actually does open up with Sai and Ren still talking.
We'll find out, but that's what I'm saying. Like, this episode is so wholesome, but it reminds us that time is of the essence, and a lot of things are still at stake.
Yep, and we're coming close to the deadline, because by the time that this episode takes place, I think it's around like
2 weeks
10:30.
left. Yeah,
is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks left?
Well, they said it was about 3 weeks left, but after that situation kicked off, it's about 2 weeks or less.
Yeah, because it's in the game, the time that Sojiro actually does find out about all of this was on October 30th.
Whereas, yeah, and in the game, the date when the investigation was supposed to happen was November 20th, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think it was either that or it was the 18th.
No.
It's such a minimal difference that it's not even worth worrying about.
But yeah, that's kind of why I like this episode so much. It reminds us of what's at stake, but it still gives us more character study. It's a great example of a great example of what this anime is good at doing.
I could gush about this episode for hours on end.
Yeah, and we kind of did. This is now our longest podcast with an hour 18.
Yeah, go figure. That's not a surprise.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
I blame Akechi.
Yeah, it's always either Akechi or Yuji that ends up being our longer podcast.
Yeah, but then again, I think this episode deserved it with everything that was going on. And again, another episode where we talked for a long time and it wasn't negative.
Yes.
Holy shit.
But anyway, we should probably start to wrap this up.
Yeah, we should wrap this up now. But anyways, with that said, what do you think about our thoughts about the episode? Disagree with us in any kind of way? Have a comparison that we didn't talk about? Go ahead and leave your comments down below and we'll discuss it in the comments section. So until next time, guys, I'm Keenan47, aka Wolfkeen, along with...
I am Mikami System Pwn 3000.
I am FlOrangey.
And this has been Mario Family 15. And this is not our longest podcast yet, because episode 20 is an hour 22:31.
Well, crap. We could.
Oh, crap. How do we stall for time?
No, please, let's not.
Let's see.
Let's
the
not.
deadline was actually 11:20. I just looked that up, and
okay, never mind.
yeah, that was it.
Let's
No,
not do that
realized
tonight.
Something now that I think about it.
What?
We do at this point know that we have more than 24 episodes, with the current speculation being 35. If we're going the direction we think we are, we're going to suddenly have a lot of time left over.
Oh yeah, we are, but we're gonna.
Oh boy.
Which also now makes me mad that we rushed through so much stuff earlier. But at the same time, I'm starting to wonder what they're going to do with that.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see. So we will see you all for episode 25. Till next time, everyone. Take care.
Let us start the game.
And Akechi is still better than Naoto.
Oh, fuck off.